Hi friends, welcome to Socially Distant, and like a phoenix rising from the ashes, I'm Brian Noonan. I hope you enjoyed your long holiday weekend, and by that I mean the last 10 weeks. I also hope that you took a few minutes out of your day yesterday to remember why we observe Memorial Day. Not to be a nitpicker, but hey, if there's a nit, I'm gonna pick it. Memorial Day is to remember and honor the men and women of the armed forces who died in service to our country. I don't know why it bothers me when people get this wrong, it just does. All right, let's address the elephant in the room. I didn't post a socially distant yesterday. Now, to be fair, I warned you about that on Friday, saying that I would be MIA yesterday. In reality, I know that my absence did not affect you or your holiday in any way, shape, or form, but my ego and self-delusion want to believe that at some point during your barbecue, yard work, or quarantine-busting social gathering, you cocked your head like a dog who had just heard a high-pitched whistle and thought, gee, I need to hear what Brian has to say today. What's this? He didn't post anything. What a ripoff. Then you tamped down your disappointment and went on with your day. I spent Memorial Day doing one of the things I love doing more than anything else, radio. I know. Oh, wait a minute. You were only doing 4 hours of radio. You couldn't find time to do this too? Nope. I was busy. All right, I'm sorry. That sounded a little harsh. Let's move on. However you spent your weekend, I hope it was relaxing and at least had a small sense of normalcy. Here in Chicago, and from what I could tell for most of the country, the weather was fantastic, making shelter in place even more difficult than it already was. Not that you asked, but other than being a major market radio star yesterday, my weekend was calm, uneventful, and socially distant. There were long walks with the dogs, cigars, and cocktails on the deck. Saturday was punctuated by severe weather, so it was decided here at Socially Distant HQ that we would binge watch the 1994 TV miniseries The Stand. Yeah, good choice during a pandemic. I've never really been a fan of Stephen King's work, and this 6-hour slog of horror camp did nothing to change my mind. My wife, on the other hand, is a fan, and despite the series not aging real well, she enjoyed it. Our daughter, who was the third voting member of this binge-watching cabal, was torn between enjoying and despising our cinematic choice. I will say this, though. It was easy to draw eerie parallels between the plot points of the story, other than the fact that the virus in the story was man-made and the fact that until now, the devil has not literally taken over Las Vegas to be his home base, those plot points and what we're going through right now. I did find myself yelling at the TV, chastising the survivors for not wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart. Yeah, those are the plot points that pulled me out of the story. Not the fact that a homeless loon was able to drag a nuclear missile onto Fremont Street, or the fact that Rob Lowe accepted a movie role where he said absolutely nothing. I also had a few moments to watch the news over the weekend and see how some people were embracing the easing of the shelter-at-home orders in their various states. Not well. I know opinions are going to vary, but seeing the images out of the Ozarks, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and other beach communities of people who were basically raising a middle finger to the virus, rules, and science, they made me sad, angry, and finally, just resigned. Listen, I know I can't change people's minds and bend them to my will, no matter how much I try. So I've resigned myself to the fact that this type of behavior is going to continue, and the virus is going to do what the virus is going to do. Now today, public officials are coming out in those areas and voicing their disappointment in the public. But let's be honest, is anybody surprised by this? These are the same public officials who either threw open the pandemic door with no regulations or put no enforcement measures on the small regulations they did enact. Bowing to freedom fighters who think that wearing something over their nose and mouth while buying bulk items at a warehouse store is the very definition of tyranny, they have thrown caution to the wind and are now wringing their hands once the wind does what the wind does, namely blow things around. Listen, I hope people stay healthy and that these kind of gatherings don't lead to huge new outbreaks, but I'm not very confident. When left to their own devices, people are going to instinctively act in their own self-interest with little or no thought to others, and that was evident this weekend. So only time is going to tell. Listen, I've decided I'm going to blend my bubble slowly. You do what's right for you. Until next time, stay safe, stay home as much as possible, and as always, stay socially distant. Bye.